see that.
We hired a planner, a world-class planner.
He's the best.
And he completely redid our municipal code, all of our planning code, to change from subjective standards to objective standards. What that means is it's a checklist. And when you meet the checklist, you are now in ministerial, straight language. You shift from you're automatically approved, and yes, you go in front of the planning commission to start with, but the checklist is done and you're approved. As compared to, you have to be approved. You have to go through the process.
Gotcha.
If you now do the checklist, you're done.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're just not in the checklist category yet, because it hasn't been done.
Pardon me?
It's not in a checklist part of the phase because it hasn't been done yet.
No, this is done.
No, it's done.
Okay.
That's what you just
We
said.
have the ordinance paperwork.
Yeah, no, this is
It's only like
done.
5 pages. It's really short. We'll get you a copy.
Automatic
What?
approval?
Yeah, it's like
Called
by
ministerial approval.
by right.
Right, by right.
By right.
You go down the checklist, they're all objective, clearly defined standards. When you finish that, yes, you go in front of the planning commission once, but they go,
You're done.
you're done.
Wow.
A lot of that has to do with like the pitch of the roof, snow load,
That's what I know.
insulation thickness, just for extra snow, highway readiness, like so it's regulate,
all about
yeah,
that.
safety for highway travel.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to go around it by, we have a friend that's already doing tiny houses in McLeod right now. He could just never put it here. He sold a bunch of everywhere else, but we could never put it here.
But
So
is-
now,
Is McLeod, that's still Siskiyou or is that Shasta?
yeah, that's
Siskiyou County.
It's a
Okay.
town, but we want to try and custom make it to fit the by right laws so that it's automatically approved and it's closer and blah blah blah.
The roofing joist thing that got me too.
Yeah,
With
so
my little.
good question.
Well, and to Offa's point, okay, question number 2. This kind of relates to not building in general, but specifically for tiny homes. We passed a series, because it came out of the planning commission, came through city council, and we passed a series of, here's the checklist for tiny homes specifically inside the city limits of Mount Shasta. So that world is remarkably streamlined relative to where it was in the
Yeah.
past.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we have staff now, we have more people. We have a lot better people.
Yeah.
And which will ultimately bring me to a commentary before I leave about tax increases. The city tax increase, sales tax increase, but I'll get to that later, yes.
Planning commission, what about building permits? And are there permits required beyond that?
For
For,
a tiny home?
and this checklist ministerial process, does that affect normal building and other businesses? Or is it just for tiny homes?
Okay, there's 2 worlds here. There's the general, I want to build an addition, a new building,
Yeah.
whatever it is you want to do. That process is what Jeff spent 18 months completely redoing and making objective checklist. This is what you need to do, check or no check, versus subjective. And anybody can complain and
Right.
throw up roadblocks and then, yes, there is a subsection of that relates specifically to tiny homes, and we passed that not
Yeah, it's a couple
3 or
months.
4 meetings ago, not just recently.
2 months ago.
Did that answer your question?
Just, I have heard that the building permit process is very cumbersome. I'm
It was
wondering if
horrendous.
this-
You're being so kind.
It was really bad.
It was
Chased
horrific.
people out of town. But I'm wondering if this simplifies that also, or it's all inclusive. It's very complex building permits, because it could be
Simplify,
for.
well, okay, look, yes, it does simplify it. There's state aspects of things that we have no authority over.
Right,
They are wound into what's called a plan check. The plan check is all the specific, now objective here's all the categories of things you have to do, you check them off.
You have to have already done them, obviously, okay.
And well, when you, I'm not quite understanding your permit question. Yes, you have to have a permit. You start with a permit to build. And you come in and City Hall and ask for your packet. And then if you have questions, we have a building inspector. And that person will take you through, this is what you need to know and answer your questions. But it is wildly
million times better.
shorter and simpler
Well, that's wonderful.
and
Million
more
times.
objective and clear,
Wonderful.
because it was not earlier.
And they're pressing the same, what do you call that? It's an expediting process, so it's easier, a little bit easier for incentivizing builders, contractors, not just in tiny houses on wheels, but in all the zoning. It's almost like a pre-approval list, whether it's a condo or a apartment or whatever. Two little things, you know, in my little world was, it's called by right. It's when you make this list that says, as long as it's this and that, it's approved. One little thing about that is that the people need to be participating with the planning commission, that the by right list is the same color as the mountain, it doesn't block the mountain, it, you know, all the things we want, the cottage village feeling. We need to help the planning commission give them feedback so that the by right can be at the image that we want it to be. So that by the time they make it a by right and it gets out there to incentivize builders and contractors to come in, they are already building it the way we like it. We like the village feel, you know, heights or whatever. And so that was one thing, is that if we're not in the planning commission, helping the planning commission make things look like the way that we like them to by right it, then other contractors could come in, block the mountain, make it bright pink.
Yeah.
And, you know, no indigenous,
17 stories.
Yeah, 17
Right,
stories,
right.
no public approval,
Right.
no public meeting approval needed, and you can just by right it. So
And, yeah.
that's the other reason why you want to get participating inside that. But if you do, as a community, go to the planning commission and help them make it into a place that you want it, and we do by right all the townhomes, all the apartment, all the multi-zoning, then we can incentivize contractors and builders to come in, because it's an expedited process and it's building the way we like it to be built, kind of thing. Does that make sense? It's kind of a flip
Well,
of
if
the coin.
somebody's not into doing this, they could care less. They're probably visually seeing it or perceiving it like a mobile home lot.
Right.
They don't want that in our town or what, you know, that kind of a mentality. Or it to look junky, but if you can give somebody a visual ahead of time or the
Right.
standard ahead of time, you know, with that assurance.
And the planning commission knows that, and they're
awesome.
anticipating that, and that is
good.
partly why it's even more important. The more people that show up to the meetings and give the feedback and have the conversation with them, it helps answer some of those questions for them ahead of time, because we were there and they're sitting there trying to figure out what are the people gonna want and not want, and how many things should we lay out specifically now versus how open should we make it. We don't want someone to come back later and complain and sue people and make a whole production out of things. So they wanna, I think same with the council, my impression is they wanna help as much as possible. They wanna try to make it easy to expedite things and create solutions, because everyone understands the housing issue here. But they do also know there's a segment of the population that is very particular and doesn't want things a certain way, and that's gonna create a lot of issues for people. So they're trying to get ahead of it, right? And what are the aesthetics that's gonna make as many people happy as possible? So we can just kind of, like he said, let's make a checklist and let's include, we want it like this. If it's like this, it's not gonna go. If it's, you know, hot pink, flamingo pink, that's not gonna work. Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Exactly.
okay
I'm
in
like,
Florida.
this is not Miami. So yeah, we don't want a Miami aesthetic. We want it to match the environment. So yeah, the more people that show up and give them that feedback, the more confident they are moving forward.
This is an appropriate time for me to jump in.
Yes, please.
One of the very difficult things about democracy is when there's an issue in front of the town. And surprise, surprise, people differ widely on what.
Shocking.
And I will be cornered at Berryvale,
For half an hour.
backed up against the lettuce. Or unfortunately, when I get a carrot from behind. And they will be upset with me. And I will listen patiently for precisely 3 minutes. And then I will stop them and say, you don't have a disagreement with me. You have a disagreement with the people I also represent who don't think like you. I do represent you, I just don't only represent you. And that is the way it is, because we're a pretty diverse town. Which means when the Planning Commission works on trying to take these vagues, have a mountain aesthetic,
Yeah,
which
means everything.
means whatever anybody wanted to mean or object to, and things got stalled down, just stalled,
6
and
months.
you couldn't move things forward. We had a terrible reputation
Yeah.
with the building community because there were so many groups who could use that as a block to, you put 20 people together and they could hold up an entire project just because they knew how to play the game. And it's not like that anymore.
Right.
The Planning Commission has, most of these folks have been doing it for a very long time, and they're listening to the whole community, whether you show up or not. They live here, and they've been here, and they have a good sense. I'm not trying to discourage anybody from showing up to a planning commission, because inevitably, just like in city council, somebody will bring up something, and it's like, oh, I either forgot about that, or I didn't know about that, or that's a really good argument that's different from the way we were heading, and that is how that's how things get created in town. It's a small town. The good news is it's a small town. Pretty much I'll bump into anybody at Berryvale eventually.
Yeah.
And the bottom line to this is, it starts with the planning committee, because we're discussing primarily affordable housing and tiny homes, and how does this process streamline and clarify what is necessary for you if you want to get a permit and you want to go build something, to, I'm not building anything, but it's my town, I'd like to have input to how it might unfold.
Yeah.
And that's how things work. But once it gets done from the planning commission, it's not done. They don't decide. They make the recommendations up to the city council, who you elect. Planning commissioners are appointed. City councilors are elected by the people, for which we make a whopping $200 a month.
Yeah.
A month. Before taxes. And
For
it's
years.
a volunteer job. It literally just covers expenses. But it's somebody's got to do that. One thing that should be kept in mind is, if you speak to any city councilor, it's astounding what we don't know.
Amen.
We're not specialists, we're generalists. I can speak generally about shifting subjective building standards to objective, or by right, building standards, and it took us 10 years to find qualified personnel. We've had to hire one to go do that for our town, because it was a huge job. We would have had to have paid a crazy amount of money, but it's done. And if this is probably the right time to shift from tiny homes to affordable housing in general, because there are multiple worlds in affordable housing. Who here is aware of the building that's going on, the construction that's going on down on Chestnut and Alder? Has everybody seen the construction going on down there? That project started when I started
Oh.
12 years ago.
Really?
Wow.
get to this point.
Wow.
to get it to being done.
Wow.
That's the old regime. That's how it used to be. It was god awful. However, it's an example of what's called income qualified affordable housing, as compared to a secondary category called worker qualified affordable housing. Those are two different things. We're working on both. It's way easier, believe it or not, to do income qualified than it is to do worker qualified. Let me define terms. Income qualified, that project down there will have 24 units, and there are groups up to $28,000 to $36,000 a year, and up to I think $52,000 for a family of 4, and you can qualify for one of those apartments. That's the 7th rental. What would you call that? Not just, it's not a building, but project. And it's the point is, we have a lot of it.
Yeah.
We have a good bit of income qualified housing. We needed more, that's what that one is for. As compared to, you are working here in town, and you make $35,000, $40,000 a year working at a restaurant. And you have a partner, and the two of you make $65,000 or $70,000 a year. Go try and afford a house in this town,
Right.
or anything in this town, if you want to own with that much money. The answer is you can't. Not unless somebody's going to give you a crazy down payment. Worker qualified affordable housing is what we're working on, step 1 down at the landing. We just signed not a deal, because this many stages, but a letter of intent. We finally have somebody on board to develop the 50 acres as you head south on Mount Shasta Boulevard. It's the part of, used to be the old Roseburg property, now it's called the Landing, on the left or east side of the street, going up the hill.
All the trees.
And that is, that will be single family homes, multi-use homes, and commercial, and residential over commercial. By the way, we have long standing, you can't go higher than basically 3 stories in this town. There's no 17-story buildings coming around. That's no. But worker qualified housing means you can't be me. I'm retired. I would not qualify. I hope you would not qualify, because I hope you're not working. And the point being, if you're fire, police, teacher, public works, you work in this town and you live here, the complexities of that are a lot, and those details don't matter, but such that people can afford a depressed price, an affordable price, not just built, but the cost of the units are bought down, and they will be permanently bought down. And you can get in for low